Rochelle, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, very good. Thank you.
I think I'm on.
This highest.
I think this is that gun barrel. I think this is that gun barrel coffee. This is not supposed to be bad.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. It is Friday, November 19th. My name is Myrna Molina, and I will be chairing today's Judicial and Public Safety Committee meeting. May I please have roll call?
Davis. Brown,
Brown here.
Gums,
Gums here.
Leonard,
Leonard here.
Sanchez,
Sanchez here.
Shepro,
Shepro here.
Pirog, Molina.
Molina present. Thank you. Okay, may I have a motion and a second to approve our minutes from our October 14th, 2021 meeting?
Madam Chair, Shepro, I would ask unanimous consent to approve the minutes and place them on file.
Okay, I have a motion for unanimous consent. Anybody opposed? Okay, thank you, Mr. Shepro. Next item on our agenda is public comment. I have one member of the public signed up to speak. Is Mr. David Bertha online? I don't have anybody present or in. No. Okay, so we will go ahead and move on. Next item on our agenda is our monthly financial reports. Those have been attached for review. And our merit commission.
Morning.
Good morning.
I never understand this stuff. We are in the process of changing how we post our new hire list. For decades, it's been alphabetical. So if your name was Adams, you were usually number one. If you were Zimmerman, you were usually last on the list. So really, you had no idea where you stood amongst the others. So this coming Tuesday, we'll discuss it, vote on it towards the end of December. We're going to post these listings numerically based on test score and oral interview score. So a guy or a gal will know, kind of have a better idea where they stand, which if they see that they're last on the totem pole, you may make up their mind to go somewhere else. I don't know, but I think it'll be a little more fair. The other thing is we're halfway through our advertisement period. We started in November 1st, advertising on the blue line, which is where everybody goes for blue line work applications. We have a total of 2 applications after 3 weeks, which is not good for the sheriff. So I kind of did a little investigation on my own. And I see that also advertising is Will and Kendall. Will County, which pays $1,000 a month or a year more, has 2,322 hits on their job app. Kendall has 2,419. They pay $3,500 a year more. And good old Kane County has got 1,200. So I don't know. I know this isn't the finance committee, but if they're listening, something needs to be done because we're losing good people to other counties. Other than that, if you have questions, That's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions for our merit commission? Mr. Brown?
Brown here. What's Blue Line? I'm sorry, I'm ignorant in this. but-
Blue Line is an online site that advertises for telecommunicators, ambulance, public safety, security companies, fire departments. There's probably 300 sites on the Blue Line.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for our merit commission? Okay, thank you for your report
Thank you.
and for your concerns. We are aware of them. We're working on them.
Thanks.
Okay, next on our agenda is our KingCom. Good morning, Ms. Guthrie.
Good morning. And just to, branch off of what he said, we also post on the Blue Line and we've had some success with that. You can pay a fee and the ad will appear at the top and we try and time it where we're kind of not inundating the website with the same information and refreshing it often, but it's worked well for us rather than just directing people to the county website. We've also put together for KingCon like a one-page flyer with just brief information that directs them to the county website. And we share that every time on social media, every time we do a posting. And we're thankful to our police and fire subscribers that have a Facebook page or Twitter or other means of social media. And they usually share that for us as we don't have a main KingCom page. In addition, so we continue on our staffing. We have 2 telecommunicators in training. We just did a new testing for telecommunicators last week. So they continue through the training process. And also in October, we're very focused on in-house training. So as you look at our budget, you'll see that our line item is a little high for training. When everything kind of came to a halt last year in 2020, there weren't a lot of training opportunities. So now that some are offered more in person and they're also offered virtually, we take advantage of those as much as possible. And, we'll get the online training maybe for one of our members, but we're able to disseminate it to all the other members of the team. So that's really been the focus. We've had a lot of projects this year. So in the last couple months, we're very focused on staffing and training and just kind of catching up from all the events and projects this year. Our monthly reports are on file, and that is all I have this morning.
Thank you. Any questions for KingCom? Okay, thank you. We'll move on to our Sheriff and Adult Corrections. Sheriff Hayne, I see you. Good
I am
morning.
here. So thank you for the accepting my Zoom here, and I'm going to share a screen so I can go over a couple of notes. It's been a little bit since we were in this committee, so always never a dull moment in Kane. Please welcome in the room there Commander Pete Osmani from the Corrections Division, officially November 28th. He'll be officially appointed as Commander of Corrections. So he's done just an amazing job as acting commander to get us where we need to be. Just to talk through a few things here, I wanted to bring up a statement that myself and a few other sheriffs put out about supporting the Chicago Police Department should they need us to respond for emergencies through the Illinois Emergency Alarm System. Some people mistook this as an anti-vaccination statement. It is strictly, ILEAS is for emergency responses for immediate events, everything from tornadoes to riots. The issues in Chicago are a manufactured emergency that have arisen from the mayor's failure to properly negotiate with their unions. So I am not going to send my people to Chicago streets to patrol, take them away from Kane County and subject them to that environment down there. So if anybody had a comment or a question on that, I'm more than happy to answer to that as well. When it comes to the village of Wayne, it seems to be taking 2 different pathways now. One section of the village is recruiting a new police chief. There's still conversation about both DuPage and Kane County Sheriff's offices, assuming the patrol there. This is the cost analysis that I gave to Wayne. We would be charging them just over $420,000 per year to provide them services. And again, that's just on the Kane County side. I know DuPage County took these numbers from me and they adjusted them to their rates. So they're looking at, close to $1 million for services. So they have this information, and I'm kind of abstaining from any other conversation about it other than we're here when we have to be here. We have somebody have a question? Sorry.
Any questions so far? No, go ahead, Sheriff.
Okay, thank you. We are facing some much needed upgrades inside of our facility. The building is 14 years old. This is not due to a lack of any work by current building maintenance, but a lot of corners we have learned were cut 14 years ago in the construction of the building. So we are paying for out of the clerk's office budget an upgrade of the water system and also a walkthrough of the heating and ventilation system to get that up to speed as well. Our RFP for the treatment center concept out of the sheriff's office went out and expired with 28 downloads. Ultimately, nobody put in a bid. So now we've taken a step back and we're actually going direct with a few treatment centers to get their feedback on what would make more enticing to them. But again, this is the first of its kind in the nation. It's out of the box. So we're trying to see what framework looks best for everybody. We are offering now a concealed carry class. This is not to train people for concealed carry firearms to get their license. This is the next level course. I, as sheriff, have concerns about concealed carry because it's a 16-hour course, and the person only has to go through it once. They walk out the door, put a gun on their head, but they're out in the public. And we've seen instances here in Kane County where legal concealed carry holders don't take a proper action with a firearm in public. So this class is a 3-week long course. I'm sorry, a 3-day long course spread out over 3 weeks and open to the public. It begins in December. We're very excited about offering this next level opportunity. DuPage County Sheriff's Office and Kane County Sheriff's Office have partnered up officially by memorandum of understanding. We're taking 2 deputies from our drug unit and 2 deputies from their drug unit and taking down the border between the 2 counties. And they'll be going back and forth, primarily working what's called criminal interdiction activity. So the pass-through of narcotics and firearms between both counties. And of course, they sit in a prime location here just west of Chicago with all the road infrastructure and parcel infrastructure that travels through those 2 areas. It's just a great force multiplier that puts more boots on our ground for us. And just a heads up, we're going to be facing 9 retirements in 2022 that we all just learned about. This is just on the police side of the house. 5 of those people are going to be from senior command. So we're trying to aggressively. The Mayor Commission was speaking on the corrections officer list, not the deputy list. This would be the deputy list, which is very robust. So if you see me scrambling, you see me working the streets sometimes, that's probably why. We can move to resolutions now if nobody has any questions on that.
Thank you. Any questions regarding the sheriff's report? Okay. go ahead.
Shepro, Madam
Mr.
Chair.
Shepro? Yes, go ahead, Mr. Shepro.
Yes, Sheriff, I want to thank you again for updating us on the Wayne situation. I was at a large group meeting in Wayne last night and found again that the village board has not communicated with any of the residents that I'm aware of, and you're our source for information. And I know that there is a lot of concern among the residents about the apparent lack of direction on the board level. So I appreciate your keeping us and this committee informed. Obviously, it's a big step if they choose to go in the direction of dismantling their department. So thank you again.
Yes, absolutely. My pleasure. And I did want on another topic. I do want to talk finances real quick. So was in a meeting yesterday being one of the largest budgets for the county outside of KDOT at the Sheriff's Office with Madam Chair, Joe Anze and Dale Berman from Finance. And we were trying to figure out how to close that $11 million budget gap for FY22. We got down to about $1 million left, and I did surrender. This was my offering, $1 million out of my corrections salary line item just to get that budget balanced. So just have that on your radar. I endorsed that. It was my offering. So we're all just trying to work together as a team. So as we go to resolutions, the first one here is continuing our medical services by our contract medical provider Wexford for a 1-year extension. We're following all the same pricing as the original contract with the included 4% increase. We did adjust, I should say, negotiate some caps in there where if Wexford spends over that cap, that Sheriff's Office will be responsible for paying anything above and beyond that cap. Commander Osmani did an outstanding job negotiating this with me. and we're comfortable with the terms of the agreement.
Okay, may I have a motion and a second to discuss and potentially approve the resolution?
Leonard
Shepro
moves.
moves, or seconds, whichever.
Okay, so Mr. Leonard moves and Mr. Shepro seconds. Any comments or questions regarding the resolution on hand? Okay, so I will go ahead and ask for roll call, and this will move on to finance once we approve.
Brown,
Yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Sanchez, Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Davis.
Sanchez, yes.
Thank you. Molina,
Molina, yes.
passes.
Thank you. This passes, and again, this will move on to our finance committee. Okay, Sheriff, you want to go ahead and introduce your second resolution?
Yeah, the next one here is just an agreement between Kendall County and Kane County for the housing of detainees. We just renewed this last year, and it took a while to get the paperwork in place. It expired a month after we passed this resolution, so it's back up again to extend it for another year.
Okay, may I have a motion and a second to discuss and potentially approve this resolution?
Leonard moves.
Shepro seconds.
Okay, Mr. Leonard moves and Mr. Shepro seconds. Any comments or questions? Okay, may I please have roll call?
Brown,
Yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Davis, Molina.
Molina, yes, and this will move on to our executive committee. Okay, Sheriff, let's move on to your third resolution.
This will be for the purchase of a bomb suit for our hazardous devices team. It's about $36,000 just north of that to replace this device. The bomb unit responds about once to twice a week to hazardous devices in the Northern Illinois region. So obviously the latest bomb suit is expired now, so their protection is essential. And this is budgeted.
Thank you. May I have a motion and a second?
Brown moves.
Gums will move.
Brown moves, Ms. Gum seconds. And Sheriff, what makes it expired? That was my only question.
They expire every 5 years. So much like Kevlar vests that you wear for bulletproof protection, those expire about every 5 years. So just to keep it updated.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other comments or questions? Mr. Leonard?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just one comment to the sheriff. I see that this is going to be funded with the 22 budget money that is rolled over from the 21-year fiscal year, which you did not spend. So I thank you once again for your financial acumen on handling this department's needs.
Okay, any other comments or questions?
Shepro, just one question.
Mr. Shepard, go ahead.
What happens to the expired suits? Are they discarded, or does somebody else want them even though they're expired?
So the one thing that I always refuse to do at the sheriff's office is be involved with the bomb team. So I'm not exactly sure. I like my fingers.
Yes.
Not exactly sure what they do with it. I hazard a guess that they send it back to the company for some sort of, refurbishment or,
Recycle maybe, or yeah.
I'm not entirely sure.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no other comments or questions? May I please have roll call on approving this?
Brown,
Yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Davis, Molina.
Molina, yes, and this will also move on to our finance committee. Okay, Sheriff Payne, your final resolution?
Yes, so this is an emergency purchase resolution to adjust some of our water issues in the Kane County Jail. It did pass through full board earlier this month, but we have to pay for it out of the capital account. So this is just a affidavit that moves the mechanism from, a budget adjustment that moves that money from our general fund account into our capital account to make the payments.
Okay, may I have a motion and a second to discuss and approve?
Brown
Leonard
moves.
moves.
Mr. Brown moves, Mr. Leonard seconds. Any comments or questions regarding this resolution? Okay, I know we discussed this already in the past, so, okay, may I have roll call?
Brown,
Yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Shepro, Davis, Molina.
Molina, yes, and again, this one will move to our finance committee. Okay, thank you, Sheriff Hayne.
Thank
Anything
you.
else for us?
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Okay, happy Thanksgiving.
Madam
Okay.
Chair, Shepro, can you record me as yes by Bud Stuck?
Yes, sir, you're in.
Yes,
Thank
thank you,
you.
Mr. Shepro. Okay, moving on to our agenda, we have our state's attorney, Ms. Mosser.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Are you able to see and hear me hopefully well?
Yes, we see and hear you.
Okay, perfect. I do have a presentation as well. I don't know if I'm able to share my slide. I was not able to get it to Blair. Okay.
Blair? Yeah, why don't you go ahead and try, Ms. Mosser?
Okay. So hopefully you see my screen.
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, so I wanted to make sure to have a slideshow so that the sheriff was not obviously the only one with a slideshow. I do want to thank him because I know he just kind of passed over that really quickly, that from his budget, he gave $1 million to be able to balance our budget. And I think that that really should go with much more notice and fanfare than what he had tried to do just now. But I think that that is the very example of the judicial partnership and the working together that we have, because he is more concerned for this county than for his own individual budget. So from me to him, I wanted to say thank you for what he has done now in terms of helping our budget, but also what he has done throughout my tenure as the state's attorney in terms of helping us be in even greater office so that we can help him. So thank you, Sheriff Hayne. So with that being said, I want to give you some updates about what we have been doing at the state's attorney's office. As of December 1st, it will be my 1-year anniversary, and there was a lot of stuff that we came in and we talked about in the very beginning, and we are ready to implement or have already started to implement a lot of what we were planning to do. To start off with, as of December 6th, we are going to fully go into our vertical prosecution structure. Vertical prosecution is designed to have the same prosecutor be on the case from the first day all the way to the very last portion that it's on. The belief that I have is, first of all, that we're going to work with our victims a lot more because people are going to have specialized training in their departments. We are going to have, for example, a specific unit that deals with all sexual assaults and sexual abuse cases. And those prosecutors will be specifically trained in how to speak with victims and how to do so in a trauma-informed way. That means our victims are just going to be treated better than we ever have before, because we're going to make sure that we're giving them people who truly understand what it is that they're going through. In addition to that, we're going to have much more consistent offers because these prosecutors are going to be working in teams with the same types of cases, and they're always going to be talking about what they're offering on any given case. One of the things that I had a fear with when I came in the office is if you have one person who's prosecuting a burglary in one courtroom, and down the hall you have another prosecutor prosecuting another burglary case, similar facts, similar criminal history, are we giving inconsistent offers? Are we giving one person probation and the other person prison? When you have a specialized unit, then those offers become consistent because they're constantly talking about what's the right thing to do in any given situation. And lastly, I believe that this is quicker, it will provide quicker resolutions. These are people who understand what motions are being filed. They're people who understand what evidence is necessary. So we're going to get this from the beginning of the case to the end of the case in a much more expedient manner. And these are statistics that we are going to start keeping as of December 6th, so that at the end of the year, I'm able to show you that these are the amount of cases that we charged. These are the cases that we disposed of, and this is how quickly we did so. We are also going to be keeping statistics for demographic purposes because we want to make sure that when we are being consistent in offers, we're being consistent no matter if that person's race or sex. We want to make sure that we're doing it based on the criminal charge itself and what's just for that particular case. And lastly, as a part of this, and because we were able to move people around in these specialized units, we were able to create a felony review unit. I know I mentioned this a while ago, but a felony review unit is one in which police officers call when they would like felony charges. And they give the facts of the case to the prosecutor, and the prosecutor says these are the charges that we're authorizing. What I did find is that we were inconsistent across the board when police officers would call. More experienced prosecutors would deny more charges because they knew the specific evidence that was necessary. Less experienced prosecutors were more likely to approve the charges because they thought it sounded something, or maybe there were even situations where the police officer sounded so confident it just kind of bowled over the prosecutor at that point. So with that being said, I have a prosecutor in charge of that unit who has over 20 years within this particular office. He has been a supervisor. He is very knowledgeable about every different charge we have. And then we have two other prosecutors, one who used to work at our office and went through all the way up through felonies and then eventually decided to stay at home with her kids. And then we have another prosecutor who's gone through our misdemeanor division who again really needed a different way to be a prosecutor because she also had an issue with childcare issues. And so this is how we were able to do that. We were able to keep two great prosecutors, bringing one of them back to our office. And now we're going to have consistency in terms of our training or in terms of our decision-making that we're going to make on these cases. What I also think this means is that we're ultimately going to be charging less cases because we are going to be a little more vigilant in terms of what we're requesting because we have much more knowledgeable people and we'll be creating a protocol and policies as to what it is that they're looking for. And this is something we're going to share with our police departments. Any questions on that before I go to the next slide?
Any questions from the committee? No, go ahead, Ms. Mosser.
The next part is our pre-arrest diversion program. As you know, we started that around summer, and we did that partially because of money that was given to us by the Sheriff's Department, but also partially because of a grant that we were able to apply for and earn. So far, we've started with one case that the Sheriff's Office has referred to us and two cases that the Elgin Police Department has given to us. And I know this doesn't sound like really big numbers, but we have only recently really started taking cases. So for us, this is the beginning of us showing to everybody how well this works. All three of these individuals were individuals that came to us either because of mental health issues or addiction issues. And again, instead of spending one night in jail, now they're being given services and case managers who meet with them where they are. And this is an important concept, and it deals more with meeting with somebody who is physically where they are, but meeting them where they are best going to be able to communicate. So we've had people go out and meet with one particular individual who just feels more comfortable talking to them while he's outside walking his dog. We talk to people at different times during the day, sometimes even at the evening, because it's what makes them feel most comfortable. And we're referring them to housing, to jobs, and to treatment to make sure that they get the help that they need. But again, then these are people that were not running through our criminal justice system. We are also lucky enough to have hired recently a community engagement coordinator and a case manager. And this is through the Sheriff's Department through a grant that we partnered with them. But because they are the law enforcement agency, the grant went through them. A community engagement coordinator is one who specifically goes around and talks to people within our community and organizations to get them on board with our program so we have much more in which we can offer to people. Our case manager is exactly what it sounds like. This is a person who's going to carry a caseload of individuals. So in addition to Martha Paschke, who is my pre-arrest diversion coordinator now, and she has two interns that she has brought on who are doing this for school credit. Now we have a whole other person that we're going to be able to help provide services to people. So we are just ready and encouraging our police officers to send these cases to us. And I want to again remind everybody that the less people that we have going through the criminal justice system, the more I can put prosecutors on cases such as child exploitation or child pornography cases, those cases that have a high technological skill need and something that we really need to focus on to keep our community safe while we're still focusing on the needs of individuals like these people who go through pre-arrest diversion. So overall, instead of me having to come back and keep asking for more people, I'll be able to shift people from my drug department into something like a child exploitation department, because we are dealing with the people who have addiction issues in a much better way than we ever have before. Any questions on that before I go to the next slide?
Any questions? No, go ahead, Ms. Mosser.
So the very last thing is something that Sheriff Kane and I have been partnering with since I started, and this is the Opod release program. The Opod release program specifically is looking at people who are housed right now in the treatment facility that Sheriff Kane has created within his jail. And what they're focusing on not only is drug and alcohol treatment, but underlying trauma treatment. The fantastic portion of all of this specifically deals with defendants who have never really before had any benefit of substantive inpatient treatment. Most of the defendants that we have within this program, this is the first time. Maybe they've gotten an evaluation, maybe they've gone through a couple classes, maybe their insurance has never allowed them to have the intensive treatment that this has. And now this is something that they're being able to get. And you heard before from Rick Swain, who is one of our people that we put on this program. He was the first person put out on this program, and he did fantastic while he was on pretrial release. So much so that we actually have already placed him on probation, and he is doing fantastic on probation. He is working, he is home with his family, and he continues to get treatment, and he volunteers in our community. So instead of paying $23,000 per year to house him in IDOC, he is a fully functioning member of our community because we gave him a chance. There are two other individuals who are right now on pretrial. They were released on their signature, and both of them are doing well. We are monitoring them closely through their EHM bracelet, through the treatment that is being provided, and through court appearances. And both of those individuals are getting ready to be just placed on regular probation as a result of it. There are two other defendants that we have been interviewing and we're bringing forth to the judges, because again, these are individuals who their next step was prison, but because of the work that they have done within the facility, it is something that both Sheriff Kane and I are advocating to the courts to release and put out in our system. So again, this is a different way to look at prosecution. It is a different way for us to look at what we're doing with these individuals, and it's ultimately going to save thousands upon thousands of dollars for our community, because we're not just housing people, we're helping them fix whatever is going on so that we can get them to the next step in their life. That is the end of my presentation. My financial records are on file for anyone to review. It does look like, despite all of my best efforts and misunderstandings of both math and the budget, we will be coming in under budget this year. So thank you very much. I'm open for any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Mosser. Any comments or questions from our committee? No? Okay, just thank you so much for all your incentives and everything you're doing. I'm very excited and very hopeful that the small changes and the big changes we're making in our judicial partners are really going to help our community at large. So thank you, and thank Sheriff Kane, thank you as well for everything you've been doing. Okay.
Thank you.
Madam Chairman?
Ms. Allen?
Thank you. I'm not on your committee, but I have been watching drug court for such a long time. And I just want to applaud, as you said, Madam Chairman, I just want to applaud these efforts. Everything costs money, but some things actually change lives. And I believe the statistics will continue to show that recidivism is much lower when you're able to help people get back into their lives. And it's hard because it's one person at a time, but on the other hand, in jail, it's one person at a time too. So I think this is a good use of our resources. And I just want to compliment our judicial partners on trying to do enlightened programs that help the community. So thanks for all that effort.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. Very well said. Okay, we will go ahead and move on to our public defender. Good morning, Ms. Conant.
Good morning. Thank you. Our reports are on file. I do have some additional numbers I wanted to share. This year, the Public Defender's Office, we have done 16 jury trials and 7 bench trials as of this week. We have approximately 7,800 cases opened and have closed a little over 7,700. It has been a while since we've talked about abuse and neglect, but I just wanted to talk about that a little bit today too. Judge Hall sent us out some numbers today or this week. We are on track to open 210 cases in abuse and neglect this year. And I just wanted to bring that up again to once again thank the board and this committee for the support in granting the public defender and the state's attorney's office an additional attorney for that courtroom. That has been a huge help for us. The 210 cases would be just slightly more than what we had last year. So as we expected, things continue to trend upward in that courtroom. So that additional attorney has been a huge help in our office and for the attorney that was assigned there. So again, our appreciation, we are greatly appreciative for that and the board's support. And that is all my report for today.
Thank you. Any questions or comments regarding our public defender's report? No. Okay. Thank you so much for your work. Okay, we will move on to our judiciary and courts.
Good morning.
Morning.
Judge Hall sends his regrets. He's teaching at Judges School this morning. And just to kind of give Public Defender Conant comment some background, when you think 210 cases, that's not very much. It's a 4-fold increase from 4 years ago. And these are cases that don't go away until, you know, the child ages out, and that can be age 22. And when you're dealing with a child that's 3, 4, 5 years old, that means that's going to carry on for 17 years. So low numbers, intense effort is required on those cases. And on that note, again, thank you for the support for the new facility we're building. As I was telling Mr. Brown earlier, before the meeting started, we are slightly ahead of schedule. However, the schedule was due from our AV contractors yesterday. And I'm hoping, since we haven't heard anything bad, that the word is good about the supply chain issues that you normally hear. So, but otherwise, we are on track for a mid-January completion date. So we are hopeful for that. And then I have 2 resolutions this morning, and if you're ready, I'll have those presented.
Yes, if you can go ahead and introduce your first resolution.
Okay, Andrea O'Brien will do our first resolution on the intergovernmental agreement.
Morning. The first resolution is an intergovernmental approval of an intergovernmental agreement between Kane County and Dcfs. We were lucky enough to be one of the counties able to participate in a foster care reimbursement assistance program. And what that provides is for the 2 public defenders in our abuse and neglect courtroom and our conflict counsel, the portion of the work that they do in that courtroom will be reimbursed at a certain percentage. So this is the first year it's being awarded. The resolution, the agreement goes through 2024. And I'm working with finance. Currently, the resolution does not include the numbers. So we're working with the percentages and the salaries and benefits of those individuals, and then the numbers will be forthcoming.
Okay, any comments or questions regarding this resolution? And this will move on to Finance Committee later on this month. Okay, may I please have roll call to approve? Oh, may I have a first and second first?
Leonard moves.
Mr. Leonard moves and Mr. Brown seconds. Thank you. Any comments or questions? No? Okay, roll call, please.
Brown,
Yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Davis, Molina.
Molina, yes.
Passes.
Okay, this passes. Okay, would you like to introduce your second resolution?
Yes, our next resolution deals with the law library fee, and I'd like to introduce our executive director of the Kane County Law Library, Hallie Cox. She will be making the presentation.
Hi,
Hey,
as
good
Doug
morning.
said, my name is Hallie Cox and I'm the director of the Kane County Law Library and Self-Help Legal Center. The resolution I'm here to present is the law library fee change resolution. And really, essentially, all this resolution does is bring the county into compliance with the law library governing statute, which is dropping the law library fee on civil filing cases from its current $21 down to $20 starting January 1st, 2022. Based on prior years, this will effectively decrease the law library revenue by roughly $12,000 annually. I have budgeted this into the fiscal year 2022 calendar year, and we actually are expecting an offset due to the lift of the moratorium on evictions, that we will have a slight increase, obviously, in civil filings due to that. So for the 2022 budget year, I'm expecting the decrease and the increase to sort of balance out is the strong hope. And as a special fund, the Kane County Law Library and Self-Help Legal Center has always been self-sustaining. To my knowledge, the law library has never in its existence asked the county board for any sort of general revenue funds. But I just sort of wanted to present, especially with the statutory decrease in our civil filing fees and the increase in self-represented litigants at a national level, as well as the Illinois Supreme Court push to really continue and further our support of those self-represented litigants. I really, really hope to remain self-sustaining and will do everything in my power to remain self-sustaining. But I don't want it to be a shock if I eventually do have to come before for some sort of support from the county board. Any questions?
Thank you. May I have a motion and a second to discuss and potentially approve? Mr. Brown moves, Mr. Leonard seconds. Okay, any questions regarding this resolution? Okay, may I please have roll call?
Brown,
Yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Davis, Molina.
Molina, yes. Okay, this resolution is approved and it will move on to our Finance and Budget Committee. Okay, we will move along on the agenda to our Court Services Administration.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So when you look at our financials for the month, you can see that we are under budget by about $2 million as of November. The payroll and my other expenditures are trending just under $1 million, which means we're going to be under budget by $1 million at the end of the year. So that's good for the bottom line. Of course, it came at the cost that was from savings of turnover, from staff turnover. So some good news is that the KCDC is fully staffed. Dr. Singh was able to find 2 well-qualified candidates to take the 2 open forensic psychologist positions. The JJC is nearly fully staffed. They just lost another person the other day. And the resolution that we're going to speak to in a minute addresses one of the openings that they have. Probation unfortunately has a number of openings currently. And although I applaud the state's attorney's efforts at her programming, she did it at the expense of my drug court because she stole away one of my best officers to help run that program. I wish them luck. I'm glad to have that person in the system. As long as we, keep her in-house somewhere, I'm happy. But so now I have to fill those positions and do the training that goes with that.
I do apologize for that, Lisa. She is fantastic. But I figured since I've stolen from everybody else, why not?
She's wonderful staff. I'm sure she'll do a wonderful job for you. And then we've been really busy, not only just filling these positions, but as you all know, there's a pretrial reform coming. I forget if I let this board know already that the AOIC has decided, or the Administrative Office of Illinois Courts has decided to tackle the pretrial restructuring of the state at the ground level for actual bond call in phases. Initially, we were looking at decommissioning our officers by the middle of this coming summer. Now that's been pushed back to 2024. And I'm really hopeful that it'll be pushed back even more as they get into it and they see how big of a project this is, because honestly, this is a big project. And as an effective bureaucrat myself, I feel like I've got a good handle on what it takes for that constant turnover of staff and training and fidelity and obedience to the law. It's a big project to try to do that for all 102 counties in the state. So nonetheless, we've bought a few years. So that's been pushed back now until the fall of 2024 for Kane County. The JJC for juvenile detention, the state of Illinois has passed a number of new standards that they're having to abide by. So in the coming months, we'll do a presentation on how the JJC or juvenile detention is restructuring management level positions, because they have 2 or 3 times the amount of regulations that they need to abide by. I'm not looking to increase their bottom line budget. I think I can do it within the budget that we currently have, and we're in the middle of figuring that out, and I'll bring that back and let you know what that looks like. So having said all that, the resolution in front of you is to assist the JJC in continuing with their mental health clinician needs, and I'm ready to speak to that if you're ready.
Okay, may I have a motion and a second to discuss and potentially approve this resolution?
Leonard moves.
Mr. Leonard moves
I'll second.
and Mr. Brown seconds.
So this is, last year or the year before, and as Dr. Singh will attest, we've had a really tough time finding well-qualified mental health clinicians to work in this field, especially to be on site. So many people want to do it remotely. And so we reached out to FSA, the Family Service Association. They're located in Elgin. They're a wonderful local service provider. They currently hold the contract with the state of Illinois to do something called Sas Screenings. That's where when you have a child who's feeling suicidal, you can't just take them to the hospital to get an involuntary commitment. They have to be, we call it lingo SAS, right? So we have to SAS them. So this agency comes out, they verify that they're really in a mental health crisis. They really do deserve hospitalization. They hold our hand and walk it through the whole process, get these kids to the hospital, get them hospitalized. So they have a number of staff, well-qualified mental health clinicians on contract on their staff. And so this resolution allows them to assist us with our mental health needs in the department, in the facility. And they are doing this in addition to being the SAS provider. So really it's a win-win because they're already on site. So we're able to pay them to do the pre-SAS mental health interventions. And because they were the ones doing those pre-SAS interventions, when it comes time to do the SAS, we're good. They're good to go. They've already done the assessment. They're the ones making the recommendation. We streamline that process, get them right into the hospital. So I'm looking for your support to continue this relationship with them.
Wonderful, thank you. Any comments or questions regarding this resolution? Mr. Leonard?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to mention to Ms. Sas that obviously I think this is really helpful for the administration of these juveniles and these young people that may have some very severe problems. I also noticed too that this is a 2-year contract, 29,000 and change per year. So we do have that rate locked in for 2 years. So I'm in full support of it.
Thank you. And I also forgot to mention that we decreased one headcount, one of the mental health clinicians. We were unable to fill that spot. So really it's a net savings to the county because I don't have that salary.
It's a
and benefits.
budgeted item. Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Okay, may I please have roll call?
Brown,
Yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Shepro,
Shepro, yes.
Davis, Molina.
Molina, yes.
Passes.
And this passes and moves on to our Finance Committee.
Thank you. I have nothing
Okay.
further.
Thank you, Ms. Ost. Okay, so we will move on to our Circuit Clerk.
I'm Karen Herwick. I'm here for Teresa Barrero this morning. She's sends her regrets. She's on her way back from a conference. Our report is on file. She asked me, though, to convey that we continue to struggle with our employee retention. Between the last meeting and this meeting today, we've lost another 4 employees, and exit interviews are suggesting that we're basically training and they're still going to either other county and now other offices as well. And so bright news is we do a pretty good job training, but we aren't able to keep them in the long run. And that's still very concerning. So we have a number of positions as deputy clerks in both our court and office teams, and it's a struggle. We are starting to find that we're not able to send fully trained staff to our courtrooms, and that's not fair to our employees in their training, and it's not fair to the courts to be providing staff that isn't able to effectively provide the record keeping services that are required. So it is a continued area that we're working on. And at this point, we are, looking at the whole organization and what other ways that we can manage until we can get some applicants. The other thing is our applicant pool is really low. That's something we've never experienced in the circuit clerk's office in the past. And over the last year and a half, 2 years, we just don't have applicants. And we've changed the way we've posted job postings. We've done some virtual job fairs. We're, doing everything we can on social media, and it's just not happening. So it is a very, very slow process. And as it is slow, it's affecting the work and the customer service that we're able to provide out of the office. But we will continue to do everything that we can to support all of our statutory functions.
Okay, thank you. Any comments or questions regarding our circuit clerk's report?
Shepro,
cheering you on.
comment?
Mr. Shepro, go ahead.
This is just becoming a recurrent theme with virtually every department. And when you add to that the fact that so many long-term employees are retiring or close to it, it just seems to me that every board member ought to be terrified at the direction that we're heading. And I think we really need to probably stop talking about it, figure out how we're going to deal with it. As we're just being picked clean, I would suggest to many talented people who are happy to have our training and then go elsewhere for substantially more money. I mean, this is not news to anybody, but I think the coming year, we're just going to have to figure out how to address it and stop the talent train.
I agree, Mr. Shepro. I think you'd be great at maybe taking the lead on that as vice chair. But we do really need to get a handle on it as a county board. And we feel Ms. Barrero's pain and the circuit clerk and all the other judicial partners. So it's definitely a conversation that we need to have for the county board as a whole. So I nominate you to take the lead on that.
Oh my, well, that'll
Mr. Brown?
teach me.
Yeah, this is Brown. I'd like to just concur or echo what Mr. Shepro just said. And I also like your idea of Mr. Shepro taking the lead on this.
Mr. Levner?
And I'd just like to thank Mr. Shepro for accepting.
Great. That just shows the danger of not showing up in person, right?
Okay, thank you. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Okay, we will move on to our coroner's report. Coroner Russell?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, good morning.
Oh, good morning. Yes, our report is on file. As you can see, our numbers dropped a little bit from last year at this time, but I think November might make up for it. We have just been, I come in, I look at the board and just the amount of autopsies that we've had. This last Monday, we had 5, autopsies, and the week before on Monday, we had 5, and then we had 4 on Wednesday. So it's just, and a lot of it is alcohol and drugs, unfortunately. I heard on the news that this, and as far as the country goes, over 100,000 people will have lost their lives, to the opioid addiction. So it's, again, I think part of it is the result of the pandemic and people, not being able to get out and do whatever. But it's again, that's just a theory, but it's what I feared, that this type of thing occurs in arrears. And I think that we're starting to obviously feel that. So beyond that, I don't really have a whole lot else. So I'm open to any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for our coroner? Okay, I don't hear or see any questions. Thank you, Coroner Russell. And obviously the conversation regarding opioid abuse has to continue. And I know our Sheriff Kane is working on his, on his end, but I think as a county, we really need to have a conversation regarding this subject as well. So I'll add that to our 2022 list of things we need to figure out how to take care of. Okay, thank you again for your report.
Madam Chair, Shepro,
Mr. Shepro?
I would ask unanimous consent to place all reports on file.
Thank you, Mr. Shepro. Our next item on the agenda is new business. But hearing and seeing no
I
new
didn't think there was
business.
any. Yeah.
No, but I'd like to request our committee to allow our member of the public who had signed up for a public comment to just go ahead and address the committee at this time.
No objection.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Bertha, good morning.
Morning. My name is David Bertha, but many in this room already know me as King David from the South Side of Chicago. I'm here today to compel Sheriff Ron Hain to respond to my unanswered complaints against his deputies. I also demand that State's Attorney Jamie Mosser prosecute Sergeant Richard Malott, 2 court reporters, and anyone else involved in their conspiracy to obstruct justice during my trial for assault. Officer Trevor Hoyt testified before the grand jury to secure the indictment. His testimony was based on the report that he filed after interviewing Sergeant Malott. Prosecutors did not call Officer Hoyt to testify at trial because his testimony would have contradicted Sergeant Malott's testimony. Sergeant Malott filed or caused to be filed at least 1 false report and perjured himself at trial. I was acquitted on the felony charge of aggravated assault on a police officer, but found guilty on a misdemeanor charge of resisting Sergeant Malott's order to back up from within 2 feet of him. Since standing 6 feet away from someone is considered social distancing, and standing within 2 feet of a police officer is not a crime, I appealed my conviction. Retired court reporting supervisor Marge Ledvora omitted the transcripts from Officer Hoyt's grand jury testimony, my fitness hearing, and sentencing hearing from the original record on appeal. I notified her of her error. Court reporting supervisor Jill Gasparatis included the transcripts from my fitness hearing and sentencing hearing in the supplemental record, but not Officer Hoyt's grand jury testimony. In response, I filed a criminal complaint that includes a copy of an email from her. The email reads in relevant part: the grand jury is not part of the court record that is sent up for appeal. I believe the state's attorney's office will provide that to you as you are pro se. Since the court reporters refused to include it, I attached the missing transcript as an appendix to my brief. My appeal was denied because the grand jury testimony was not included in the official record. Jamie Mosser must prosecute Sergeant Malott and the court reporters for felony obstruction of justice in order to reestablish the integrity of this county's judicial system. I filed sheriff's complaint number 131 against Officer Malott. Ron Hain promoted him to sergeant shortly before my trial. In October 2018, I filed complaints numbered 92 and 93 against several other deputies. Considering his own history of violating citizen civil rights, it's not surprising that Ron Hain has failed to discipline them. U.S. Marshals have delayed service of my civil rights complaint against Sheriff Hain and his deputies due to the pandemic, but will eventually serve them with a summons. I will leave a copy of my unanswered complaints at the podium for this committee to enter into the record.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bertha. Okay, next item on our agenda is to place reports on file. Mr. Shepro?
I would ask unanimous consent to place reports on file.
Any objections? Okay, reports have been placed on file. We have no need for executive session. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Moves.
Mr. Leonard moves, Mr. Brown
Shepro,
seconds. Okay, thank you everybody for being here today.